Hello everyone, this is Joseph Porter, your host, and you're listening to The Next Layer. In this podcast, we're looking to explore the world of additive manufacturing, from hobbyist applications to complex engineering solutions. Our focus is to not only learn about the current state of the market, but where it is going and how individuals like you and I can take part in these trends. We'll be interviewing hobbyists, engineers, and scientists, discussing new techniques, applications, technology, and discovering what the future of additive manufacturing will entail. Whether you're an aspiring creator or a senior research scientist, we hope that you listening are able to learn something new. We'd like to thank our sponsor, MarketList.com, for making this episode possible. MarketList is an online contract bidding platform for additive manufacturing where local manufacturers have access to a wider range of work that they can bid on, and clients can receive offers that best fit the needs of their project. If you're interested in saving time and money on your next 3D printing project or taking on more clients for your business, stop by MarketList.com. The link is in the show notes. In today's episode, I have Brent from SOFWERX on to discuss 3D printing. In it, we discuss his journey thus far in 3D printing and how he got started a few years back. We talk about what exactly SOFWERX is, working with the Wounded Warrior Project, how someone can get involved with 3D printing in austere environments, where Brent sees the market going, and some key reasons to employ 3D printing. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy this episode. So I've got Brent on today with me. Brent, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Brent Koehlhoeffer. I'm the manufacturing engineer manager here at SOFWERX. I've been here since 2016. My career this far has largely been metallurgy, machining, management of manufacturing engineering.
Awesome, yeah. And so how did you get started along that track?
I would probably say it was my geographical location that I grew up in. It was largely manufacturing. That was just the go-to thing. Early 2000s, I moved to the state of Florida and just kind of kept along that same path.
Okay, that's awesome. And so right now you're working for SOFWERX, and how did you get into that interaction, starting there?
So that's, I actually, I seen a speech from a gentleman that was associated with SOFWERX early on in the infancy back in 2015. And I actually had seen a job posting shortly thereafter, which I applied for, and I've been here since.
Ah, very cool. Okay. And so you mentioned you worked in metallurgy and manufacturing. And so how did you make the transition then from working in those areas to additive manufacturing, or when was that first interaction between those two?
So my first interaction was here at SOFWERX. In our infancy, we were partnered up with an additive manufacturing team that was solely funded by SOCOM, 3D printers, 3D scanners, and that was my first exposure. So roughly about 5 years now. Okay.
And did you find that to be an easier transition into working with 3D printers with your background and all the manufacturing and metallurgy?
Oh yeah, like immediately. I mean, it enables you to fail fast. By that, I mean, if you have an idea or a design that you can just implement and have it printed within an hour, instead of machining something that, programming could take the better part of half a day. Just, proof of concept. So.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. So you said you worked a little bit as a machinist as well, then with that metallurgy work?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I've worked at a couple different labs, and we've had these amazing machinists. I was up at Brookhaven National Lab, and this guy, we'd point out something optical, and he'd say, "Hey, I need this to attach to this," and then the next morning, before I even got into work, there was a perfectly machined aluminum part that would work every single time, to an optical degree. I never understood how it works. So I just have a lot of respect for the machinists out there. And that work is there's some impressive work you can do with lathes and drill presses. I mean, this guy didn't have a huge shop or anything either, so I seriously have no clue how you put those things together. But no, I agree though with when it comes to additive manufacturing, it allows you to fail fast. I think that's a key point there, that you can really try out your ideas, but also iterate very quickly over them. Versus taking the time to machine it, do all the drawings, get to the manufacturing shop, get those machined out, and then finally figure out if it works or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. It's been a huge vital tool here that we use on a continuous basis. Largely what we do with any 3D printing is proof of concept. We'll go ahead and put the design CAD file on there, get it printed out, and make sure it works before we actually physically machine it out of aluminum, titanium, so on.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay. And so for the listeners who don't know, how would you describe SOFWERX?
SOFWERX is a very interesting place. It's a platform designed to increase collaboration for US SOCOM. We've been in a partnership agreement since 2015 with SOCOM. It's all open collaboration. It's, you know, they got their hands in all types of stuff, from technology to, you know, data scientists to what we do in the foundry, which is additive manufacturing, and of course your traditional metallurgy machining. It's all proof of concept, like rapid prototypes. Is largely what we do.
Okay, and does this kind of function in the same way that AFWorks moves along, or is it part of SOCOM itself, or does it operate as a separate entity?
So AFWorks was actually designed after us. We were the
Oh,
initial hub. They do some additive manufacturing there to the degree I'm not entirely certain, but it's to my knowledge that we're the only hub currently that has the capability that we have in the foundry, which is a complete machine shop, welding shop, additive manufacturing, 3D scanners, 3D printers. So
okay, yeah. So that's what I was wondering what the difference was. Because when I started reading into SOFWERX, I noticed you guys, yeah, had the foundry and also videos on how to do different projects of like what is soldering or what is 3D printing and all the capabilities there. Versus I feel like AFWorks is more of a like a vehicle for SBAR, if that makes sense.
yeah, that makes
Okay.
full sense. Yeah.
Okay, and so the SOFWERX also operate in that space of kind of the interaction line between the government and private entities about SBIR contracting.
Yes, correct.
Oh, okay, that's really cool. So you guys get like kind of like the cool side of both worlds there, acting as a vehicle for SBIR, but also being able to do a lot of the work yourself too. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really rewarding position. It's always something different. Largely, when you get into any kind of manufacturing, it's almost a bit of a cookie cutter. It's repetitive. This is anything but that. Um, well, you know, the whole concept is open collaboration, rapid prototyping, and hit the ground running and get off to that project and get on to another one as soon as possible.
That's super cool. And so with that, what are some of the cooler or like different or your favorite projects that you've worked on at SOFWERX?
Oh, they've all been cool and extremely rewarding. Here within the last few years, we've been supporting the Warrior Games, Care Coalition, disabled veterans. All those projects are extremely rewarding, of course,
Mm.
to be able to give back to the community.
And then, so with that, is that with additive manufacturing, working with the Wounded Warriors?
Yeah, yeah. So we've had all types of projects from retrofitting paddle boards with pontoons for disabled veterans, uh, small 3D prints for archery in the Care Coalition Warrior Games. I think currently we're at about 150 active completed projects with the Care Coalition, um, as well as other veterans as well.
Okay, and so what exactly is the Care Coalition?
Care Coalition, it's all adaptive sports for disabled veterans, the Warrior Games.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, so you guys are working on wow. So for archery for that as well. So what
Oh
does
yeah,
that
I
look
mean
like?
it's
Yeah.
complete games. I mean it's archery, shot put, bike races, you name it. So anywhere we can support, do our best to do that. So
Jeez. Okay, that's really cool. I didn't realize that was a thing. So it's actually really good to know about. A really interesting application for 3D printing as well to be able to enable that for a lot of those who gave a lot, in service to the country.
yeah, absolutely. And I definitely encourage you to look up SOFWERX on YouTube and go to our website, softworks.org. which, there's videos and stuff highlighted that we have actually completed for some of the veterans out there. Stuart DePaulo over there in California is a pretty memorable one. We helped him, we retrofitted a shoulder rest. It's basically a quick release for archery because he only has use of one arm. He only has one eye. So for him to be able to complete in those games, we came up with something pretty clever. And yeah, I definitely encourage you to look at any videos, and any listeners out there to watch the videos as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to look into those, and I'll put this in the show notes as well, so people can have that quick access to that. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to, I guess, working with those that are like say overseas or something like that, like additive manufacturing, like in a lab-based sense, is not exactly the first thing that I think of, when I'm thinking about guys on the ground, especially like the soft guys. So what does I've kind of see things like austere 3D printing is a thing. Like what does austere 3D printing mean, and why would that be a need overseas?
Yeah, so it's my understanding that they're actively using 3D printers in austere locations. It's not the ideal setting because there's quite a bit of dust, dirt. But yeah, I would imagine it's the same reasons and usability that we have here at SOFWERX. It's all proof of concept. No idea or design is going to be the best one right off the gate, and for them to be able to just throw it on there, see if it works, and eventually, manufacture it out of metal or something like that would be ideal. So,
okay, so this is kind of just like operating at like forward operating bases or places like that, just kind of needs on the ground for the warriors there.
Yes, correct.
Okay, that's really cool. And then, so before I started recording, just for all listeners, we were talking about just for, I guess, so people that know or have followed my LinkedIn or something like that, I've seen that I work for Crane Naval Base, and they have this thing called MTRC, where they kind of pair up engineers and some techs, and then they go out overseas to help some of the SOF teams to do various engineering tasks and whatnot. Brent, would you be able to describe what is MTRC and what say a civilian can do if they get into a role like this, if they do want to pursue roles with additive manufacturing or just with cool engineering or technical expertise and getting out there into the field? What does MTRC mean, and how can people get into that role?
Yeah, so MTRC is Mobile Technology Repair Complex. A large part of it is out of Crane Naval Base, Indiana, of course. They're always hiring mechanical engineers. That would be your best step to get your foot in the door as far as that's concerned. They have a huge rotation of both soft techs and engineers that they're all over the world. So it's a pretty cool program. We've been partnered with them now for 5 years, where we have a soft tech or an engineer here at SOFWERX as an extra set of hands. Largely what they do over there is repair work. They also do, have engineers and everything, and they come up with pretty clever designs and fast, rapid prototypes over there that have definitely transitioned to the program of record. It's a really neat program, and it's all online as well. So
yeah, I'll have to try to find something I can post in the notes, because it's there's really niche, neat applications of where they bring 3D printers along, or just in general, just working as a machinist over there for some of these projects that they do, kind of going off with the teams and whatnot. So kind of a neat area to work in for sure.
Yeah, and you could also look up Skybridge Tactical. I know that their contract portion is all the soft techs, and they're out of Tampa, Florida as well. Give you a little bit more insight on all that. I do believe that they only employ former soft guys for that position, but Crane Naval Base definitely all the different facets of engineering, as far as electrical, mechanical, so on and so forth. So
yeah, Oh, awesome, man. Thanks for pointing that out. And yeah, for those who don't know, Crane Naval Base is a naval base, but it's in the middle of Indiana. So so you're surrounded by trees, one of the larger ones. They have a lake. They do have a lake. So they have some water nearby, but it's a really cool place for those who are in the Midwest doing engineering and want to work for the government with the Navy and whatnot. There's some great work going on there. Heavy focus on like optics, special warfare, stuff like that. So very cool area. I was like, gotta give a shout out to the old groups I used to work for. So yeah, I love that place. So I guess when it comes to additive manufacturing as a whole, and kind of like some of the work that you do with 3D printing, where do you see the market going overall?
So what I most look for, in the market, the longevity of it being out there, it's going to just be more affordable. I've seen a dramatic price drop here within, the last 5 years. So that's always exciting, that more hobbyists, government entities can get their hands on really capable equipment for relatively cheap.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a great point. It's especially after kind of some of the old patents that were kind of holding 3D printing, after a few companies kind of dropped out. It just seems to, once it hit the consumer market, it just accelerated so fast, especially with things like SLS or SLA, because FDM in and of itself kind of is it's a fairly understood topic, and you can build 3D printers pretty quick, but using some of those stuff that uses lasers, projectors, or different resins, that's really, I feel like that's really moved pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the equipment that we initially started out with is literally half the price now than it was, in late 2015, 16, 5 years ago. It's literally, the price has been cut in half. So
yeah,
pretty exciting.
That's definitely exciting for sure. And so when it comes to those type of 3D printers, what kind of 3D printers do you guys use at SOFWERX?
We've had our hands on all types. Of course, it gets out there that we do additive manufacturing. We've had several loaners from companies. Largely, we use Form Labs, liquid resin. We got some other like TAS 6s, MakerBot, Markforge. So we got a pretty good capability in our hands, both large and small scale, high resolution. We've done all types of stuff. We've had the wax-based filaments and done lost wax process as far as like casting. Yeah, so we got a pretty good capability here.
Wow, yeah, you get quite the plethora of 3D printers going on there, especially with that's kind of neat. So, because this one's been kind of coming up in my view a few more times, is about the wax casting and doing rapid kind of metal casting with 3D printing. Just had a guy on, and we just released an episode the other week by Duncan Costello, and he does rapid prototyping with and rapid manufacturing of metal parts, even in say like jewelry and stuff like that, from printing them out and then making like a mold for it and then doing the casting that way. So it's a neat new area. That's kind of, I feel like that's kind of on the undercurrents right now, 3D printing, but hopefully we'll see a lot more advances there, because I feel like metal working with, just plastic only goes so far. And then eventually you're gonna need a metal part depending on the application.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a relatively fast process. And just like we were speaking moments ago, that filament, that wax-based filament was pretty costly back in 2016, but it's relatively affordable now. Some jeweler's investment, a vacuum, and a kennel or oven, if you will, and you're off hitting the ground running. So
yeah, and you can do some crazy stuff with that too. Because I've seen some of this. Do you guys work anything with like generative design over at SOFWERX?
Yeah, we've dabbled in it, but largely we do mechanical design, rapid prototyping. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just kind of curious because, like, it's really opening up a lot of doors for new types of design and manufacturing. But kind of wondered if it's ever been like proven out and proven through. It seems to be a relatively hot topic right now, getting into that area, especially when it comes to like thermal extraction and whatnot, just kind of pulling off heat of things and whatnot. So yeah, I was just kind of curious what's going on with stuff like that. So
yeah.
So what is one thing, or what are a few things that you're really hoping to see in the market?
Oh, just like before, affordability. I would love to get our hands on some kind of metal 3D printer. They're still up there in cost.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, those things are so expensive, but their things are also very cool to see those working through. Because it's just once I think they can get metal down and a few other materials, I think we can. I think progress is just going to shoot through the roof of like what quality metal 3D printing is. So
Yeah, well, absolutely.
yeah, because I feel like they just kind of once again like plastic once again only goes so far, and FDM printers, especially just with the way they lay out the plastic, has that shear on the sides. If you hit it wrong, it'll pop right in half or something. And so hopefully we see a little bit, yeah, definitely increase in the metal 3D printing world. So over your time of being because you have an interesting perspective here, having been working in metallurgy and as a machinist as well, and then also working in 3D printing, is there any tips or lessons learned from say the machining world that apply very well to 3D printing that you kind of see is missed by say mechanical engineers or 3D printing techs?
No, but I would say it's nice to see life on the other side of the fence, and by that, being an engineer, to actually be able to print something out that you can actually hold in your hands and see your design, you know, off paper, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
is it's pretty important, and it's helped us out tremendously here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I guess in that area, I guess any other just like general tips or anything like that when it comes to 3D printing itself, whether it be like FDM or SLA?
No, like I said, we've used all types of filament, flexible filament, wax based, uh, you name it. They all have their applications, and I would encourage anybody to go out there and see what capabilities are out there and just to utilize it.
Well, awesome. Brent, so where can we find out more about you or SOFWERX or what you're working on?
Yeah, so like I said earlier in the podcast, I encourage everybody to go to softworks.org, sign into our ecosystem, and you can find out everything there, as well as YouTube, social media, so on and so forth.
Brent, this is awesome. Thank you so much for giving us a bit of your time here. I know you guys all at SOFWERX are super busy, especially with the supporting of the warfighter and especially within that supporting the SOF community. The work you guys are doing is amazing. Thank you so much for doing that for everyone. So with that, once again, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Absolutely, and thanks for having us on.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of The Next Layer, a podcast for all things 3D printing. If you really enjoyed this episode, we ask that you please share it with all your friends, subscribe, and leave us a review. Thanks again, and we hope to see you at The Next Layer.